What if Europe's next military shock doesn't come from Paris, London, or Berlin, but from the nation that once got crushed between two invading armies? Picture a continent listening for thunder in the west, only to feel the ground shift in the center. Poland, long filed under Cold War battleground, is reshaping itself into the spear that arrives first, not the shield that waits. With a hot war burning on its doorstep, Warsaw has decided deterrence won't be delegated. It is rearming and reorganizing to become the most formidable land power in Europe. Watch till the end because to find out Poland's first move if war breaks out, and why it matters for NATO. Start with the steel because steel sets the tempo. Poland's overhaul is less a tune-up and more an engine swap at race speed. Orders stack high. Roughly 1,000 K2 Black Panther main battle tanks from South Korea, hundreds of K9 Thunder self-propelled howitzers, and 32 F-35A stealth fighters from the United States. Add the M1A2 SEPV-3 Abrams, the same iron fist trusted by the U.S. Army, and you get speed, protection, and punch fused for the plains and forests of the East. This isn't a cosmetic modernization, it's a force reset on fast forward, tailored for maneuver warfare where seconds, not speeches, decide outcomes. Now raise the shield. Poland is building a layered air and missile defense that turns the Vistula corridor into a no-fly, no-loiter neighborhood. Patriot batteries form the high-altitude backbone, while the indigenous Nauru short-range network closes the seams, knitting a kill web designed to spot, classify, and swat everything from cruise missiles to kamikaze drones. Think of it as an iron umbrella with teeth: open, track, intercept, repeat. The air isn't only defended, it's weaponized. Warsaw has plunged headfirst into the drone fight, buying Bayraktar TB2S, fielding homegrown loitering munitions, and wiring UAVs directly into frontline doctrine. Drones aren't just eyes, they're cheap, smart teeth in the kill chain, spotters, jammers, decoys, and finishers that turn sightings into coordinates and coordinates into craters. The modern battlefield lesson is brutal and simple. Whoever fuses armor, artillery, and autonomy fastest writes the terms of the fight. Poland is building that fuse. All of this hardware only matters when it coheres into tempo. Scouts find, guns fix, armor finishes, and air denies. Think of the force as an orchestra. Drones as violins keeping the rhythm, artillery as percussion, tanks as brass, and air defense as the conductor cutting through noise. The score is written in seconds. Miss a beat, miss a lane, keep time, and the corridor opens. If part 1 is the arsenal, part 2 is the stance. How you stand when the wind shifts and the first round cracks. Leadership shows up in shipments, not speeches. When Russia crossed its neighbor's border, Warsaw pushed tanks and artillery to Ukraine early. Promises became pallets. At home, Poland hosts a major NATO footprint including a permanent U.S. Army 5th Corps presence, a quiet tectonic shift in the alliance's eastern center of gravity. Polish formations drill with the US, UK, and the Baltics, rotate through NATO response forces and bring hard-won experience from Afghanistan and Iraq. This isn't a border guard anymore, it's a coalition anchor. But every heavyweight has soft ribs. Start with the logistics tail, the bloodstream of combat power. Buying battalions of tanks and jets is one thing. Feeding them fuel, spares, ammo, and maintenance at tempo is another. Until that pulse is fully built, ambition can outrun endurance. The air picture is mid-transition. Legacy MiG-29S and Su-22S are exiting, but F-35s won't arrive in decisive numbers overnight. That leaves a bridging window where air superiority is a patchwork, capable but still sewing itself into the canopy Warsaw ultimately wants. Manpower is another ridgeline. The target of roughly 300,000 personnel, including territorial defense forces, is bold for peacetime. Recruiting, training, and retaining that many troops demands instructors, ranges, housing, kit, and above all, a strong NCO spine. On the European board, geography doesn't care about press releases. It writes the opening move. Poland is the hinge pin, the land bridge between Western Europe and the Eastern Front, touching Belarus, Ukraine, and Russia's Kaliningrad. If the continent hears thunder again, Poland won't be a bystander. It will be the intersection where columns move, supplies flow, and decisions break. Historically rescued, Warsaw is now rehearsing to be the rescuer. That flip, from tripwire to battering ram, changes NATO's geometry. The political ripple follows the military rhythm. Capability begets credibility, and credibility buys the microphone. Poland uses hard capability to push for security plans that face east, budgets that reflect reality, and policies that stop blinking at authoritarian pressure. The message is simple enough to translate in any capital. Credibility is logistics you can see, firepower you can schedule, and alliances you can plug into without an adapter at 3 a.m. Instantly. Under the hood, the culture is pragmatic, not performative. No romance for trench nostalgia. Doctrine runs on speed, coordination, and layered defense. Armor, artillery, air power, and autonomy are stitched into a kill web designed for tempo, not parades. And the glue is interoperability. From F-35s to HIMARS, Poland buys to NATO standards so that, in a crisis, it plugs straight into Allied command networks. No adapters, no lag, no lost in translation. Where does this trajectory land? Short answer, on the cusp of Europe's most capable land army. That's not hype, that's habit. New kit is arriving, troop numbers are rising, and alliances are tightening. Expect more joint exercises, higher readiness cycles, and deeper integration into NATO's command and control stack. Brigades rehearsing real routes, logistics stress-tested at wartime pace, air defenses practicing the handoff from radar ping to missile plume. The choreography grows sharper with every turn. Now the terrain steps on stage. Touching Belarus, Ukraine, and the Kaliningrad pocket, Poland is both bridge and bulwark. Rail lines, highways, and river crossings inside its borders are literal arteries for the Allied body. Posture matters as much as purchase orders because the first hours of any crisis are a race between friction and momentum. Warsaw trains to steal those hours with dispersed deployment sites, prepositioned stocks, and command posts that can jump without dropping the thread. Future doctrine ties the storyline together, decentralized, mobile, tech-driven, and ready to move at short notice. Units that live dispersed, sensors that outrun headlines, and a first-in force that doesn't ask for permission or backup. When the next alarm sounds on Europe's doorstep, don't be surprised if the lead elements wear a Polish flag, loaded, logged in, and ready to fight on arrival. That isn't bravado. It is logistics with a backbone and a clock. Ambition also lives behind factory doors. A second front, industry, is opening. With a revived manufacturing base and big-ticket partnerships with US and South Korean firms, Poland aims to shift from buyer to supplier, not merely assembling foreign kits, but exporting its own precision, armor, and air defense solutions. That means jobs, innovation, and leverage, an arsenal that pays in deterrence and diplomacy alike. The more Poland can build, the more it can sustain. The more it can sustain, the less it must fear shocks to the supply chain. Hardware only bites if people make it lethal, so Poland is investing in minds as hard as machines. Academies are expanding, and officer courses focus on NATO doctrine, joint fires, and hybrid warfare. The training philosophy is simple. Every platoon a node, every brigade a network. Move, sense, decide, strike. It's the difference between a parade and a kill chain, between saluting and solving problems under fire. The quiet revolution is human. Better housing, smarter rotations, and family-aware career paths. There's sharp irony in the arc. A country once carved up and occupied is rewriting its role, from geopolitical victim to proactive shield and, when required, spear. Not with nostalgia, but with logistics math, hard steel, and a doctrine that prizes tempo over theatrics. No carriers, no nukes. Instead, purpose, planning, preparedness. The triad that actually shows up when radios crackle and the weather turns to teeth. The signal to friends and rivals is the same. Poland intends to be early, organized, and hard to move. This trajectory doesn't just add another strong army to the map, it pressures Europe to rethink defense itself. Leaner command layers, faster mobilization, tighter interoperability, and supply chains that can sprint. Expect Poland to push deeper into EU defense policy and industrial cooperation, likely rallying an Eastern consortium around a simple thesis. Deterrence works when it's heavy, ready, and wired. Standardize parts, share munitions, synchronize training calendars, and the continent shrinks for logistics while the margin for miscalculation shrinks for adversaries. Bottom line, Poland may never rule the waves, but on land it is becoming the metronome. When Poland moves, staffs across the continent adjust their clocks. And when it speaks, allies and adversaries listen, especially when HIMARS launchers and Abrams tanks are doing most of the talking. The message carries across the plains. Europe's next shock absorber may also be its shock leader, the force that steadies the line and, if necessary, starts the counterpunch. So where does the storyline go from here? Think of Poland as both switch and circuit, the switch that turns on combat power quickly, and the circuit that routes Allied strength where it's needed most. In the near term, watch the logistics lattice thicken. New depots near rail junctions, more pre-positioned fuel and spares, and software that turns maintenance from guesswork into prediction. Watch the air picture mature as F-35 squadrons knit with ground-based defenses, creating a layered dome where radar tracks hand targets to launchers in one breath. Watch industry scale from license assembly to original design, pushing sensors, drones, and air defense into export catalogs that carry political weight. Call this a cautionary tale with a confident ending. Europe has learned painfully that hope is not a plan. Poland's answer is to write a plan that can move. Steel without a story is scrap metal. Steel with a storyline becomes strategy. The country many still underestimate may be the one that decides the tempo if Europe's weather turns again. Not with spectacle, but with competence. Not with speeches, but with shipments. Not with nostalgia, but with a network that moves faster than bad news. When the siren sounds, expect the first engine to already be turning over. Expect the map to feel smaller. Expect the spear that once was broken to arrive first, on time, aim true, and ready to hold. Subscribe to Battlefield Watch and stay ahead of the curve.